Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Machin Le'ira Online Smicha. To continue to discuss some of the interesting facts, perhaps the unknown facts of some of the Klei HaMikdash, Klei HaMishkan. So today we'll discuss a little about the Shulchan. One of in Pirkei Avos Perek Hey, Mishnah Hey, when it discusses the Nisim that took place in the Beis HaMikdash, the Asar Nisim, amongst the Asar Nisim it says, the carbon oimer, the sa'odim that they brought from the oimer never became pasul. The vishtei halechem never became pasul, and the lechem hapanim never became pasul. What does that mean? So the simple translation is the lechem hapanim were baked every Friday, and then on Shabbos it was placed on the shulchan. On Shabbos, once you're placing it on the shulchan, you can't. If anything goes wrong, you can't bake new ones. It never happened that something happened to the lechem upon him, that it became pasul, became tamei, that it won't be able to be placed on the shulchan. Because if it wouldn't be able to be placed on the shulchan, you had to wait a full another week till you make the new lechem upon him, because that's only baked on Friday and put on Shabbos. And it never happened that they missed a turn for the lechem upon him to be put and the procedure done properly. Actually, these three things have the common denominator that they're all very timely, meaning the shtei halechem, the lechem upon him, and the omer, if you miss that particular time, something goes wrong in that particular time, you missed your opportunity. And that shows, this Svarim say, that shows the significance, how a person has to seize the moment of when a mitzvah has to be done and not to delay it. In Svarim it says that you take the three things, oimer, shtei halechem, and lechem hapanim. The letter ayin from oimer, the letter shin from the shtei halechem, and the letter pei from lechem hapanim, read the word shefa, because these are the three mitzvahs. These three mitzvahs created the shefa, the abundance, the things that people need from the world in the Olam Hazeh. Actually, the Gemara says that if somebody wants to become rich, the Gemara says what he should do is yatspin, because the shulchan was in haroitza lahashir. If somebody wants to become rich, yatspin. Yatspin means he should do things in the tzafon side, because the shulchan was placed in tzafon, and the lechem hapanim was on the shulchan, and the lechem hapanim symbolizes riches, parnasa. So it's a tremendous segula for parnasa and shefa for Klal Yisrael. One of the things we find very fascinating about the shulchan and one other keli, even though there are so many kelim in the Mishkan, in the Mikdash, only two of them are called tahira, tar. Even though by many of them you use pure gold, for many of them also they use pure gold, but when the Torah says the Torah makes reference to the menorah and the shulchan, the Torah uses the word tahira. On the menorah in Vayikra Chav Daled Daled it says Ves HaShulchan Ves Kela Ves HaMenorah HaTahira. And then it says in Vayikra Chav Daled Daled again, it says you put Al Shulchan HaTahar. Only these two kelim, the Torah stresses that they are pure. And all the Mefarshim, Rashi, all the Mefarshim HaMikra ask, what does it mean over here that specifically by these two kelim are tahar? Obviously, just to say that because you use pure gold is a problem, because other kelim also had pure gold. To say that these kelim have to be very clean when they're being used, for example, before you got to do the new avodah on the menorah, you had to do teruma sadeshen, you had to hatava saneris, you had to clean the old one. The same is before you put the new chalas, you have to take off the old chalas from the shulchan. That's what some Mefarshim say. That's why it means tar, it's clean. Another Mefarsh says that the reason why these two kelim are called tar, because whereas other kelim, even though the mizbeach is a tremendous thing that you bring karbanis on, but the karbanis brings along with it spilling of blood. So here there is no blood spilled on it, and that's why perhaps it's tar. And so this is unique specifically for the menorah and the shulchan. Now the shulchan in particular, we just learned the nes is it never became puzzle. But actually there's much more to the nisim that took place in the shulchan. There was a whole acrobatic act or a professionalism in how to make the lechem aponim for the shulchan. We keep on calling it lechem, but really it wasn't even lechem. It wasn't allowed to become chametz. It was more like a matzah. It was like a thick matzah, a pita matzah. It wasn't allowed to become chametz, but it's called lechem aponim. And the Mefarshim go on to explain why actually it's called panim. The Rambam actually goes a step further. He says, I don't even know what the whole purpose of this lechem aponim is all about. But this is obvious that the Torah says the lechem aponim has to be in the shulchan, and that's what it is. What was the shape of the lechem aponim? So there's a machlekes in the Gemara and Menachos. Either it was like min teva prutza, like an open box, and you might have that in some of your Chumash pictures of a dough, a cracker, a matzah shaped a specific way that it's open from sides. It looks like a brick that's open from sides. Or the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan says, kimin sfina rekadas, like a dancing boat. What does it mean, like a dancing boat? It's shaped like a V, and like a boat that the bottom part is narrow, the one that's in the water, and the top part widens up. So it was the lechem aponim was shaped a very special way. It was a tremendous talent to be able to bake the matzah in that way, as the Mishnah says in Maseches Yuma Daf Lamed Ches. The Mishnah says that there was a family called Beis Garmu. They were very talented and they knew how to do it, but they didn't want to teach everybody else how to do it. It was a whole talent. They didn't, because the oven's a special way, how to heat up the oven, how to put it on, how to take it off. It's a very big talent. They didn't want to teach anybody how to do it, so the Chachamim kicked them out from their job. And they replaced them with other people to do it. But the other people couldn't do it as good as they. So eventually they brought them back and they doubled their salary, gave them much, much more. And they asked them, what was the reason that you didn't want to do it? Why didn't you want to teach it to everybody? So they said, because we were afraid if everybody knows how to perform this baking, which is something which is specifically designated for the Beis HaMikdash, who knows, it's going to become a mundane thing. People are going to do it for themselves, and people might chas v'sholom even bake it for Avodah Zarah. The Chachamim appreciated what they were doing, but didn't buy their answer. They didn't buy their answer. They still brought them back because they needed them to do it the right way. But they weren't convinced that that's the true reason. But yet they went around being mishabeach them, that they're such honest people. They made sure they never had in their own home bread made from that flour, so nobody should suspect them that they took it from the lechem aponim flour that they were baking. That's what they went around being mishabeach them. So this is the talent of how to make the bread shaped a certain way, and the biggest miracle of it, of what took place then was, again, the lechem aponim was baked on Friday, put on the shulchan on Shabbos. It was left there from Shabbos till next Shabbos. Next Shabbos, it was as fresh and warm as when you put it down. So much so, Chazal tell us that when the Oilei Regalim would come every year, 3 times a year to the Beis HaMikdash, and we wanted to get them excited to see, wow, look at all the miracles that took place in the Beis HaMikdash, they would greet them by showing them, look at the fresh bread, 7 days old, and it's still warm and fresh. That was the miracle that symbolized all the greatness of happening in the Beis HaMikdash. And the Mefarshim go on to explain why from all the miracles they chose this one to show the new people.